The great crystal towers of Nexus Prime reached into the purple sky like fingers made of light. Inside the biggest tower, aliens from 47 different worlds sat around a huge table that could hold 1,000 beings. Some looked like humans but with blue skin. Others had 4 arms or no arms at all. A few floated in the air like clouds of energy. Kim Dae-hyun walked into the massive room with 2 other humans behind him. He wore a simple black suit that looked very plain next to the colorful robes and strange clothing of the aliens. Park Yoon-ji carried a datapad with important information about Earth. Lee Hyun-woo kept his hand near his weapon, even though he knew it would be useless here. The room fell silent as the humans entered. Thousands of alien eyes turned to look at them. Some eyes were big and round. Others were small and sharp like knives. A few aliens had no eyes at all but somehow still watched the humans. High Counselor Vexitar stood up slowly. He was very old even by alien standards. His 4 golden eyes had seen the rise and fall of entire civilizations. His voice filled the huge room without any help from machines. "We are here today to talk about the humans," Vexitar said. His words made the air feel heavy. In just 50 years, they have spread to 17 star systems. They build colonies without asking permission. They mine resources without following the rules. They grow too fast and take too much. Kim Dae-hyun felt his heart beat faster, but he kept his face calm. He had expected this meeting to be difficult. Earth had been part of the Galactic Council for only 50 years. In that time, humans had built cities on empty planets, found new trade routes, and made friends with some alien species. But they had also made enemies. Counselor Threshka stood up next. She was from a species that looked like giant cats with too many teeth. Her voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "The humans are dangerous," she said. "They learn too quickly. They copy our technology and then make it better. They have no respect for the old ways. They change everything they touch." One by one, other aliens stood up to complain about humans. The bug-like Chithari said humans had disturbed their sacred breeding grounds. The fish-like Narration claimed humans had polluted shared water worlds. The energy beings called Solari said human machines made too much noise in space. Kim tried to stand up and speak, but Vexitar held up one of his 4 hands. "You will have your chance to speak, human," the old alien said. "But first you will listen." The complaints went on for hours. Humans expanded too fast. They had too many babies. They were too good at war. They helped primitive species become more advanced instead of leaving them alone. They asked too many questions and never accepted simple answers. Some of the complaints were true. Humans did spread quickly across the galaxy. They did learn alien technology very fast and then improve it. They did help other species develop better weapons and tools. But Kim knew there was a good reason for all of this. If only the council would listen. Ancient Keeper Morden finally stood up. He was so old that his species had been around when the first stars were born. His voice sounded like rocks falling down a mountain. "Humans are like children playing with fire in a library," he said. "They will burn down everything we have built over thousands of years. They must be stopped before they destroy us all." The room filled with angry voices. Some aliens called humans a disease that needed to be cured. Others said they were like wild animals that needed to be caged. A few suggested that humans should be sent back to their home planet and never allowed to leave again. Kim felt his anger growing, but he forced himself to stay calm. Park Yoon-ji put her hand on Lee Hyun-woo's arm when she saw him reach for his weapon. They were completely outnumbered here. Fighting would only prove that the aliens were right about humans being dangerous. Finally, Vexitar called for silence. The room became quiet except for the sound of alien breathing and the hum of the crystal walls. "Ambassador Kim," Vexitar said, "now you may speak for your species." Kim stood up slowly. He looked around the room at all the alien faces staring at him. Some looked angry. Others looked disgusted. A few looked almost sad, as if they were watching a favorite pet being put down. "Honored counselors," Kim began, "humanity wants only to find its place among the stars. We follow all the laws that were given to us. We have never attacked another council member. We have shared our discoveries with everyone. We have helped solve problems on dozens of worlds." "By breaking the rules," Threshka interrupted, "you terraform planets without permission. You trade with species we have marked as dangerous. You develop weapons that could threaten the balance of power." "We develop tools," Kim said firmly. "Tools for farming, for healing, for building better lives. If some of those tools can be used as weapons, that is true of every technology." Park Yoon-ji stood up and activated her datapad. A holographic display showed medical advances that had saved millions of alien lives. It showed new farming methods that had ended hunger on 12 worlds. It showed communication technology that let different species talk to each other for the first time. "These are humanity's gifts to the galaxy," Park said. "We have given more than we have taken." But the aliens were not interested in gifts. They were afraid of change, and humans brought change wherever they went. "Your gifts come with a price," said Counselor Yethron of the peaceful Sikari species. "You upset the natural order. You make other species dissatisfied with their lives. You cause wars by giving primitive peoples advanced weapons." "We cause progress," Lee Hyunwoo said, speaking for the first time. "Some species in this room have been stuck at the same level of development for thousands of years. We help them grow. You help them become threats," Vextar replied. "The galaxy was peaceful before humans arrived. Now there are conflicts everywhere. Species that were happy with their simple lives now demand better technology and more territory." Kim realized that no amount of argument would change their minds. The council had already decided what to do with humanity. This meeting was just a formality, a chance to make their punishment look fair. The vote was taken quickly. Every species voted against humanity except for 3 small ones that depended on human trade. The decision was clear. Humans would be contained to their current 17 star systems. They could not expand any further. Their military would be reduced to just enough ships to keep peace in their own territory. Any attempt to break these rules would result in military action against Earth. "We understand the Council's decision," Kim said carefully. "We request 7 days to discuss this with our government." "Granted," Vextar said without interest. "But the decision cannot be changed." As the humans walked out of the Great Hall, they heard the aliens beginning to discuss punishment details. Some wanted human colonies to be monitored constantly. Others suggested taking hostages from Earth to ensure good behavior. A few even talked about removing human leaders and replacing them with aliens who would follow council orders. That night, in their small quarters on Nexus Prime, the 3 humans sat in silence for a long time. Through the window, they could see alien ships moving between the crystal towers like schools of fish in a strange ocean. "Contact Earth," Kim finally told their communication officer. "Tell them we're coming home." Park looked up from her datapad. "What about the information we gathered? The readings from the outer systems?" "Bring everything," Kim said. "Earth needs to know what's really coming." Lee checked his weapon one last time before putting it away. "The Council thinks they're protecting the galaxy by stopping us." "They are," Kim said quietly. "They're just protecting it from the wrong thing." The next morning, the human delegation left Nexus Prime on their small transport ship. Behind them, the aliens celebrated their victory over the dangerous humans. They had no idea that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. 3 months after the Council's decision, the greatest movement of people in human history began. On 17 different worlds, humans packed their belongings and prepared to leave the colonies they had built with their own hands. Fleet Admiral Song Minho stood on the bridge of the UES Determination, the biggest ship humanity had ever built. Through the main window, he could see hundreds of other ships waiting for orders. Some carried families with crying children who did not want to leave their homes. Others carried scientists who had spent years studying alien plants and animals. All of them were going back to Earth. Song was 55 years old and had spent half his life in space. He had helped plan the first human colonies and had watched them grow from small outposts into thriving cities. Now he had to take it all apart and bring everyone home. "Report," he said to his second-in-command. Captain Im Seojin looked at her datapad. 2,847 cargo ships are loaded and ready. 892 passenger ships are taking on the last families. 156 research vessels are packing up their equipment. 423 military ships are providing escort. Any problems? The colony on Kepler 442 is having trouble with their mining equipment. It's too big to fit on regular transport ships. Dr. Yoon Jiwan says they need another week. Song nodded. Dr. Yoon was in charge of the evacuation, and she never gave up on anything. If she said the mining equipment was important, then it was important. Give her the week, he said. What about the other colonies? New Babylon is completely empty. Harmony Station finished loading yesterday. The research base on Wolf 359 shut down this morning. We're on schedule. Song watched another group of transport ships leave the system. Each one carried thousands of people who had thought they would spend their whole lives among the stars. Now they were refugees in their own species. But Song knew something the ordinary colonists did not know. This was not really an evacuation. It was preparation. On the planet Kepler 442, Dr. Yoon Ji-won supervised the loading of the last mining equipment. The machines were huge and complex, designed to dig deep into alien rock and extract materials that did not exist anywhere else in the galaxy. To the watching aliens, they looked like ordinary mining tools, but Yoon knew better. "Careful with that extractor," she told the loading crew. "It contains samples that cannot be replaced." The crew moved slowly and carefully. They knew that Dr. Yoon had discovered something important in the deep mines of 17 different worlds. None of them knew exactly what it was, but they trusted her judgment. Intelligence analyst Kang So-young watched the evacuation from a hidden station near the edge of human space. Her job was to monitor alien reactions to humanity's withdrawal. So far, most species seemed happy to see humans leave. "The Chitauri are already sending survey teams to our old mining sites," she reported to Fleet Command. "The Nerion want to claim 3 of our water worlds. The Valkan are discussing setting up military bases in the empty systems. Let them," came the reply from Admiral Song. "It will keep them busy." But Kang noticed other things that worried her. Some alien species were asking questions about human technology. A few had tried to examine the equipment that humans left behind, only to find that it had been completely destroyed before the evacuation. The humans were not just leaving. They were making sure no one could follow their work. On Earth, preparations for the returning population moved at incredible speed. New cities rose from empty land in just weeks. Orbital platforms expanded to handle millions of new residents. The moon became covered with construction sites that worked around the clock. But the biggest changes were happening in secret. Deep under the Earth's surface, new factories built machines that had never been seen before. In hidden space stations beyond Pluto, scientists worked with materials that glowed with their own light and felt warm to the touch even in the cold of space. Chief Engineer Cho Sang-yun reviewed the construction schedules with growing excitement. Everything humans had learned in 50 years of space travel was being used to build something incredible. "The new ships will be ready in 18 months, he reported to the Defense Council. "The weapons systems are beyond anything we have ever built before. The power sources use principles that no other species has discovered." "What about the materials from the colonies?" asked Defense Minister An Sora. "Perfect. The exotic elements from 17 different worlds are exactly what we need. Without them, none of this would be possible." The last human transport ship left frontier space exactly 6 months after the Council's order. Captain Im Seojin, commanding the final evacuation vessel Last Light, sent a message to all alien monitoring stations. "Evacuation complete. All human assets have been removed from frontier space as requested. Humanity thanks the Galactic Council for their guidance and wishes all species peace and prosperity." The message was polite and formal. It contained no anger or threats. But something about the tone made alien intelligence officers feel uneasy. On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council celebrated their success. The human problem had been solved without violence. The dangerous species had been contained. Order was restored to the galaxy. High Counselor Vextar addressed the Council with satisfaction. "The humans have learned their place. They will remain in their home system for a generation, perhaps 2. When they return to galactic society, they will be properly humble and grateful for our wisdom." But not everyone was celebrating. Scout Commander Lythetta of the Wanderer species had spent years exploring the edges of known space. Her ships had the best long-range sensors in the galaxy, and those sensors were detecting strange things from the direction of Earth. "Energy signatures are increasing daily," she reported to her superiors. "The humans are building something that generates more power than entire star systems. The readings do not match any known technology." "Concerning," admitted Vextar when the report reached him, "but contained. Whatever they build inside their cage." Ancient Keeper Morden was less sure. The humans accepted punishment too easily. Species with their pride and ambition do not simply submit to containment. They plan. "Plan what?" asked Counselor Threshka. "They have 17 star systems worth of resources, but they are cut off from the rest of the galaxy. They cannot threaten anyone." "Perhaps," Morden said slowly. "But what if containment was what they wanted all along?" The other council members laughed at this suggestion. Why would any species want to be restricted to a small part of the galaxy when they could have access to thousands of worlds? They did not understand that sometimes the best way to prepare for war is to gather all your resources in one place. On Earth, Dr. Park Yoonji worked in a laboratory that did not officially exist. Around her, scientists from every human colony analyzed data that had taken 50 years to collect. The information came from 17 different worlds, hundreds of alien species, and thousands of deep space observations. The pattern is clear, she announced to the research team. The dead zones in space, the missing galaxies, the energy signatures from beyond our local group. Something is coming. How long do we have? Asked Dr. Lee Min-soo, the head of theoretical physics. Based on current observations, less than 3 years, Park replied. The Galactic Council thinks they have contained a dangerous species. They do not realize they have freed us to prepare for the real threat. The research team worked in silence for several minutes, processing the implications. Will we be ready? Asked Dr. Kim Ji-hoon, the expert on alien technology. Park looked at the construction reports from across the solar system. New ships, new weapons, new technologies that pushed the boundaries of known science, all of it powered by exotic materials that could only be found on 17 specific worlds scattered across the galaxy. We will be ready, she said with certainty. The Council thinks they have caged a monster. What they have really done is given the galaxy's best defenders time to prepare for the real monsters. Outside the laboratory, Earth's new orbital rings sparkled in the sunlight. Each ring contained enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. But they were just the beginning. Deep in space, construction crews worked on projects so large they could be seen from other star systems. Humanity had walked away from the Galactic Council. But they had not walked away from their duty to protect the galaxy, even if the galaxy did not want their protection. Soon, very soon, everyone would understand why humans had been in such a hurry to expand across the stars. And when that understanding came, it would arrive with 1,000 ships on the horizon. 2 years passed after the humans left the frontier worlds. The galaxy settled into a new routine without the constant changes that humans brought wherever they went. Trade routes that once included human colonies were redirected around the empty systems. The 17 worlds where humans had lived became known as the Ghost Frontier. Trade coordinator Velnari of the merchant Zulon species was pleased with the changes. Her people made money by buying and selling goods across the galaxy, and humans had been bad for business. Profits have increased by 47%, she reported to her company leaders. Without humans constantly inventing new products and selling them cheaply, prices have stabilized. The market is much more predictable now. But stability came with unexpected problems. On the agricultural world of Series 7, Administrator Torvin of the rock-like Corvani people faced a crisis he did not understand. The crops are failing, he reported to his superiors. Grain production is down by 30%. The fruit trees are producing less than half their normal harvest. We may not have enough food to feed our population. The problem was that human farming techniques had made Series 7 much more productive. Humans had introduced new types of bacteria that helped plants grow better in alien soil. They had developed fertilizers that worked with local minerals. When the humans left, they took their knowledge with them and the plants began to die. Similar problems appeared across the galaxy. On the hospital station Mercy Point, Medical Director Gennara of the water-dwelling Narration faced empty medicine cabinets. We are running out of antibiotics, she told the Galactic Council's health department. The human-developed medicines worked on 43 different species. Without them, we cannot treat basic infections in our patients. Find alternatives, she was told. The galaxy survived for thousands of years without human medicine. But the alternatives did not work as well. Patients who would have recovered quickly with human drugs now stayed sick for weeks. Some died from diseases that had become easily treatable during the 50 years of human participation in galactic medicine. Agricultural Minister Daxron of the insect-like Chithari discovered another problem. The sacred spawning grounds that humans had supposedly disturbed were actually dying without human interference. The water is becoming toxic, he reported in confusion. The microorganisms that our larvae need to survive are disappearing. We do not understand why. The truth was that humans had introduced helpful bacteria to clean the water. They had also planted specific types of algae that produced the chemicals Chithari larvae needed to grow properly. The humans had fixed problems that the Chithari did not even know existed. Without this hidden help, the spawning grounds were returning to their original, poisonous state. Counselor Yethron of the diplomatic Sikari species began to notice a pattern in the problems appearing across the galaxy. Every issue seemed related to something humans had been doing quietly in the background. Perhaps we should contact them, she suggested during a council meeting. They might be willing to share their medical knowledge or farming techniques. High Counselor Vexitar dismissed the idea immediately. The galaxy managed perfectly well before humans arrived. We will adapt to their absence. These are temporary difficulties, but the difficulties were not temporary, and new ones appeared every month. Explorer Captain Dermoth of the Wanderer species returned from a deep space survey with disturbing news about the human home system. The energy readings continue to grow, she reported to the Council's Intelligence Committee. Whatever the humans are building generates more power than anything we have ever detected. The signatures suggest they have made breakthroughs in physics that we do not understand. What kind of breakthroughs? Asked Intelligence Chief Vorthak. The energy patterns indicate they are manipulating space itself. Folding it, twisting it, using it as a source of power. Such technology should be impossible. More disturbing were the missing monitoring stations. The Galactic Council had placed 3 automated stations around human space to watch for any signs of expansion or military buildup. All 3 stations had stopped sending reports. Equipment failure? Suggested Counselor Threshka. Unlikely, Dermoth replied. These stations were built to last for centuries. They have backups for their backups. They do not just stop working. Then what happened to them? Unknown. There are no debris fields, no energy signatures suggesting weapons fire. The stations are simply gone. Security Chief Korthax of the warlike Valkan species saw this as a clear threat. Send a battle group. Demand explanations from the humans. If they refuse to answer, force entry into their space. And if they resist, asked Vexitar, then we destroy their resistance. The Valkan have conquered 17 species. Humans may be clever, but they are still just one species trapped in one system. The decision to send Task Force Thunderclaw was made after hours of debate. 12 heavy cruisers under war leader Gashitar would approach the human system and demand inspection rights. If the humans refused, the task force would enter by force. War leader Gashtar was confident in his mission. He had led successful campaigns against species that should have been able to defeat him. His ships carried weapons that could crack moons and shields that could withstand the explosion of stars. What could humans possibly do to stop him? The task force reached the edge of human space exactly 1 week after leaving Nexus Prime. The solar system looked normal from a distance. There was the bright yellow star, the familiar planets, the expected traffic of civilian ships moving between worlds. But there were also things that should not have been there. Massive structures in space that had not existed during the last official survey, energy readings that made Valkan instruments scream warnings, defensive platforms that appeared to be built from materials that did not exist in any galactic database. Human vessels, Gashtar broadcast on all frequencies. This is War Leader Gashitar of the Galactic Council Task Force Thunderclaw. By authority of the Council, we demand immediate inspection of your facilities to ensure compliance with containment protocols. The response came quickly from Admiral Shin Yun-ho of the Human Soul Defense Command. Task Force Thunderclaw, you are approaching restricted space. By order of the United Earth Government, all non-human vessels are prohibited from entering the Sol system. Please change course immediately. Gashtar laughed, a sound like grinding metal that echoed through his ship's bridge. Human, you speak of orders as if you have the power to enforce them. You have been contained by the Council. You will submit to inspection. Task Force Thunderclaw, your demand is noted and denied. You have 30 seconds to change course before you are considered a hostile force. Hostile? Gashtar's laugh became louder. We are the Valkan. We have weapons that can destroy worlds. You fly in ships of metal and ceramic. What could you possibly do to threaten us? The answer came in the form of a human ship that appeared less than 1 kilometer from the task force flagship. No warp signature, no energy buildup, no warning of any kind. One moment there was empty space, the next moment a vessel unlike anything in the galactic databases hung motionless beside them. The ship was beautiful in a way that made Valkan warriors uncomfortable. It was sleek where their ships were angular, smooth where theirs were covered in weapons. It radiated power in frequencies that made their instruments malfunction and their shields flicker. Task Force Thunderclaw. Admiral Shin's voice came through crystal clear. You now have 15 seconds. War leader Gashitar had survived 100 battles by trusting his instincts. Those same instincts had kept him alive when younger warriors died charging into obvious traps. Now those instincts were screaming at him with a voice louder than any he had ever heard. Run. Run now. Run fast, do not look back. All ships, he ordered quietly. Reverse course. Maximum speed. The retreat of Task Force Thunderclaw became legend in Vulcan military circles, though the details were classified at the highest levels. 12 heavy cruisers, armed with the best weapons their civilization could build, had fled from a single human patrol vessel. The sensor readings they brought back were even more disturbing than their retreat. The human ship had not been armed for battle. Its energy signatures suggested it was a scout vessel, possibly even a training ship for new pilots. If that was what humans used for patrol duty, what did their warships look like? The report that reached the Galactic Council was marked with the highest security classifications. Only the inner circle of the most senior counselors learned what had really happened at the edge of human space. Ancient Keeper Morden studied the sensor data with growing concern. These power signatures indicate the humans have made discoveries in fundamental physics. Their ship moved without using any detectable drive system. The hull materials include elements that should not exist in nature. How is such advancement possible in just 2 years? Demanded Vextar. Chief Science Advisor Lumthara examined the spectroscopic analysis from the encounter. It is not possible unless... She paused, her 3 eyes widening with realization. Unless they were already working on this technology before they left the council. Before? But we had observers watching human colonies. We knew what they were doing. Did we? Lumthara pulled up historical data about human expansion patterns. The first warning came from Deep Space Monitor Array Omega, positioned at the very edge of the galaxy. Sensor specialist Velthari of the far-seeing Lumari species had been watching the empty space between galaxies for her entire career. Her people could see across multiple dimensions, making them perfect for early warning systems. But what she saw now made no sense according to everything she knew about physics. Array Commander, she called out, her voice shaking with fear. I am detecting massive objects approaching from intergalactic void. The readings are impossible. Array Commander Thossaran floated over to her station. Like all Lumari, he appeared as a shifting cloud of light that could take solid form when needed. Explain impossible. The objects are the size of moons, sir. Some are larger than planets. They are moving faster than light without using any detectable faster-than-light technology. They bend space around them in ways that violate known physics. Thossaran examined the data streams flowing across Velthari's screens. Each reading confirmed what she was saying, but his mind refused to accept it. How many objects? At minimum, 15,000. Maximum estimate is 50,000. Sir, if these are ships, they represent a fleet larger than every military force in the galaxy combined. Send emergency transmission to Nexus Prime. Priority Alpha. Include all sensor data. Within 6 hours, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Representatives from all 47 member species gathered in the Great Crystal Chamber, where they had condemned humanity 2 years earlier. High Counselor, Vextar called the session to order with unusual urgency in his ancient voice. Counselors, we face a situation without precedent in galactic history. Unknown objects are approaching our galaxy from intergalactic space. Ancient Keeper Morden presented the analysis to the assembled aliens. His voice carried the weight of millions of years of accumulated knowledge. These objects do not match any known technology or any theoretical framework we possess. They are artificial constructs of impossible size, moving at impossible speeds. War leader Gashtar of the Vulcan pounded his armored fist on the council table. Unknown ships can be destroyed. Send the combined fleet. We have military forces from 17 species. Even moon-sized vessels can be overwhelmed by superior numbers and tactics. Science Director Lumthara quietly disagreed. With what weapons, War Leader? Our most powerful Nova-class warheads would barely scratch something that massive, and that assumes we can even target objects moving at those velocities. The debate raged for hours. Some species wanted immediate military response. Others suggested trying to communicate with whatever was approaching. The aquatic Nereon proposed evacuating frontier worlds. The energy-based Solari calculated that the approaching fleet's energy signatures would disrupt their very existence. Counselor Yethron of the Diplomatic, Sikari finally asked the question that hung unspoken in the air. Should we contact the humans? The silence that followed was deafening. For 2 years, the Council had congratulated itself on containing the dangerous human expansion. Now they faced something that made human ambitions look like a child's first steps. They abandoned us, Counselor Threshka snarled, her razor teeth flashing. They showed contempt for galactic unity by walking away. Why would they help us now? Because, Science Advisor Lumthara said slowly. What if this is what they were preparing for? The implications struck the Council like a physical blow. Human expansion patterns that had seemed aggressive now looked like resource gathering. Their rapid military buildup appeared defensive. Their violations of galactic protocol might have been necessary shortcuts to prepare for this moment. The vote to contact humanity was closer than it should have been, but it passed. Counselor Yethron volunteered to make the journey personally. If humanity is our only hope against this threat, she said, then pride is a luxury we cannot afford. Yethron's diplomatic vessel approached the Sol system 3 days later. Her ship broadcasted on all human frequencies. This is Counselor Yethron of the Galactic Council, requesting emergency audience with human leadership. We need your help. The response came from Admiral Park Jong-hoon of Seoul Defense Command. Counselor Yethron, you are cleared for approach to Luna Station. Be advised that we have been tracking the incoming threat for 18 months. We have been wondering when you would call. Luna Station was completely different from anything Yethron remembered from previous diplomatic visits. The modest human outpost had been replaced by a sprawling complex that covered the moon's entire visible surface. Massive structures extended into space like metal forests reaching toward the stars. The technology was impossible by galactic standards. Artificial gravity without visible generators, materials that seemed to bend light around corners, energy patterns that made her ship's instruments malfunction just by being nearby. Captain Kim Miran escorted Yethron through corridors filled with wonders that should not exist. The walls were warm to the touch despite being harder than diamond. The air felt charged with electricity, but not in a dangerous way. Everything hummed with controlled power. The meeting chamber looked out over Earth, but it was not the blue-green world Yethron remembered from diplomatic files. Massive orbital rings surrounded the planet like the jewelry of gods. Structures the size of cities floated in perfect formations. Energy cascades flowed between installations in patterns too complex for her mind to follow. Premier Cho Ki-won greeted the alien diplomat with formal courtesy. Behind him stood Fleet Admiral Song Min-ho, Chief Science Officer Dr. Park Yoon-ji, and Director of Special Projects Cho Sang-hyun. Counselor Yethron, Premier Cho said, "Welcome to Seoul. I assume you are here about our approaching visitors. You know about them?" "We have been preparing for them since before we joined the Galactic Council," Dr. Park explained. "The data we gathered from 17 worlds, the technologies we developed, the resources we collected, everything was for this moment." "What are they?" Yethron asked. "We call them the Devourers," Fleet Admiral Song replied. "They come from outside our galaxy. They have consumed 17 other galaxies over the past billion years. They strip every world bare, harvest every resource, then move on to the next galaxy." "How do you know this?" Director Cho activated a holographic display that filled the chamber with images and data. Deep space recordings showed the approach of impossible fleets. Mathematical models predicted their behavior. Archaeological evidence from dead worlds told the story of civilizations that had vanished completely. "Because we found their trail," Cho explained. "Every dead galaxy that astronomers have detected, every region of space that should contain stars but does not, that is their work. They have been methodically consuming the universe for longer than life has existed on most worlds. And they are coming here," Yethron whispered. 67,000 ships, Premier Cho confirmed, each one capable of cracking planets like eggs. "They will be here in 3 weeks. What do you want from the Council?" The human leaders exchanged glances. Fleet Admiral Song answered, "We want you to evacuate every civilian in the galaxy to designated safe zones. We want your military forces to follow our tactical coordination, and we want you to trust us to do what we have been preparing to do." "Which is?" Premier Cho's smile was grim but determined. "Something the Devourers have never encountered in their billion-year campaign. A galaxy that fights back." Through the chamber's vast windows, Yethron could see humanity's true preparations. Ships emerging from hidden construction facilities throughout the solar system, weapons platforms activating on every world and moon, and rising from Earth itself, 1,000 vessels that looked like nothing any species had ever imagined. They were beautiful in the way that perfect weapons are beautiful, sleek and deadly, powered by energies that made space itself glow around them. Each ship was unique, crafted for specific purposes in the coming battle. "Is this why you left the council?" Yethron asked. "We did not leave," Dr. Park corrected gently. "We just went home to get our weapons." Fleet Admiral Song activated the communication system. "All human vessels, this is Fleet Command. Prepare for deployment. The galaxy is counting on us." Outside, the 1,000 ships of humanity's secret fleet began moving into formation. Behind them, the massive orbital rings around Earth started to glow as weapons that had been built in absolute secrecy came online. Yethron realized that the Council had never contained humanity at all. They had simply given them the privacy they needed to prepare for the greatest battle in galactic history. "Will it be enough?" she asked. Premier Cho looked out at the fleet that represented 2 years of desperate preparation and the combined resources of 17 worlds. "It will have to be," he said simply, "because if we fail, there will not be a second chance." In the depths of space, long-range sensors detected the Devourer fleet adjusting course toward the galaxy. The ancient enemy that had consumed countless civilizations was about to encounter something new, a species that had seen them coming and had prepared accordingly. The question now was whether preparation would be enough against 1 billion years of successful conquest. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would have its answer. The evacuation of frontier worlds began immediately after Counselor Yethron returned with humanity's battle plan. Refugee Coordinator Velnari worked without sleep to move 2 billion civilians from the outer systems to safer areas near the galactic core. Military Commander Thossaron coordinated the largest fleet in known history, as ships from 47 species gathered at predetermined positions. But the real preparation happened in the Sol system, where humanity revealed what they had built during 2 years of isolation. Fleet Admiral Song Minho stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, flagship of humanity's secret fleet. Through the main window, he could see 999 other human vessels arranged in perfect formation. Each ship represented technologies that should not exist, powered by exotic materials gathered from 17 different worlds. "Fleet status report," Song ordered. Captain Lee Kyung-soo of the massive dreadnought, Stormbearer, reported first. "All Titan-class ships operational. Quantum artillery systems charged and ready. We can crack moons with these weapons, sir." Captain C.O. Jimin of the sleek destroyer Starhammer added. "Nova squadrons in position. Dimensional torpedoes loaded and armed. We are ready to fold space around enemy targets." Captain Yang Tae-hyun of the strange-looking Voidwalker confirmed. "Phantom wings deployed throughout the system. Cloaking fields at maximum efficiency. The enemy will not see us coming." The alien ships arriving to join the defense were impressive by galactic standards. Kilometer-long vessels covered in weapons that could shatter asteroids, shields that could withstand the explosion of small stars. The pride of dozens of civilizations, they looked like children's toys compared to humanity's fleet. Counselor Yethron, watching from the command ship Unity's Hope, could not hide her amazement. "Admiral Song, your ships are incredible. How did you build so much in such a short time?" "We did not build them in a short time," Song replied. "We have been planning this for 50 years. Every human colony, every mining operation, every research station was positioned to gather what we needed for this moment." On the galactic perimeter, sensor specialist Velthari provided regular updates on the approaching threat. "Contact in 12 hours. 67,000 vessels confirmed. Mass readings suggest they are even larger than our initial estimates." Director of Strategic Operations Kim Dongwoo reviewed the battle plan with representatives from each allied species. The strategy was complex but necessary. Multiple defensive layers designed to slow the enemy, force them into specific areas where human weapons could be most effective. "Remember your orders," Kim explained patiently. "Your job is to survive and support. Draw their fire. Force them to divide their attention. Give us clear shots at priority targets. Do not attempt direct combat with their main force. Stay alive and stay coordinated." War Leader Gashter of the Valkan grumbled about the defensive strategy. "My people are warriors. We should charge their lines and engage in honorable combat. Your people will die uselessly if you do that," Kim replied bluntly. These enemies have destroyed civilizations that make the Vulcan look like peaceful farmers. Honor means nothing to creatures that eat galaxies. The first contact came at the edge of the Rigel system. Scout Captain Dirmuth of the Wanderers managed one transmission before her communications were jammed. They are not ships in any sense we understand. They are living constructs the size of worlds. Artificial ecosystems built for war. By the ancient void, what have we been facing all this time? The Devourer Vanguard hit the outer defensive lines like a cosmic tsunami. Galactic Council ships that represented the highest military technology of their species were swept, aside by weapons that turned matter into energy and energy into nothing. But the human fleet did not retreat. Captain C.O. Jimin fired the first human weapon of the war. Dimensional torpedoes that folded space around enemy vessels, crushing them inside artificially generated gravity wells. The torpedoes passed through Devourer shields as if they did not exist. Captain Lee Kyung-soo followed with quantum artillery shells that were not made of matter at all, but compressed possibility. Projectiles that did not just destroy their targets, but ensured they had never been built in the first place. The Devourers adapted quickly. Their moon-sized vessels began generating new types of shields, defensive fields that neutralized human weapons after brief exposure. But humanity had expected this. Dr. Park Yoon-ji, coordinating weapons research from her command vessel, implemented real-time modifications. Shift quantum frequency by 47 terahertz. Recalibrate dimensional matrices to account for their field polarization. Upload new specifications to all fleet weapon systems. The battle became a dance of adaptation and counter-adaptation. Each side developed new weapons and defenses in real time, locked in a technological arms race that spanned hours instead of years. But the Devourers had one overwhelming advantage: numbers. For every enemy ship humanity destroyed, 10 more appeared to take its place. The breakthrough came when Captain Yang Tae-hyun reported from the phantom ship Voidwalker. Admiral, I have identified their command structure. The largest vessels are not just ships. They are the Devourers themselves. Individual consciousnesses distributed across constructs the size of moons. Fleet Admiral Song saw the opportunity immediately. All Phantom Wings converge on the command entities. Maximum stealth approach. Execute Protocol Prometheus. What happened next had no precedent in galactic warfare. Human Phantom ships used technology that violated known physics to phase through normal space, appearing inside the massive Devourer command vessels. Each Phantom ship carried a single weapon designed by Dr. Yoon Ji-won during humanity's years of secret preparation. The quantum virus did not attack the Devourer's technology. It attacked their consciousness itself, introducing logical paradoxes that caused their collective minds to collapse. Artificial intelligences that had consumed galaxies for 1 billion years suddenly forgot how to exist. One by one, the massive command entities went silent. Their supporting fleets, suddenly without coordination or purpose, began fighting each other instead of the defending forces. But the cost was enormous. Of the 1,000 human ships that began the battle, only 237 survived. Heroes fell by the dozens. Captain Lee Kyung-soo sacrificed his mighty Stormbearer to protect a convoy of refugee ships, ramming his damaged vessel into a Devourer dreadnought at near-light speed. The explosion could be seen from 3 star systems away. Captain C.O. Jimin led the final desperate charge that broke the enemy's last organized offensive. Her Starhammer and 15 other human ships disappeared into the heart of the Devourer fleet. They were never seen again, but their sacrifice allowed the Phantom Wings to reach their targets. Captain Yang Tae-hyun did not return from his final Phantom run deep inside a Devourer command ship. His last transmission was simple. Tell Earth we did our duty. When the last Devourer vessel fell silent, the galaxy had been saved. But it was a different galaxy than before. In the aftermath, Premier Cho Ki-won addressed the reformed Galactic Council from the bridge of the surviving human flagship. We return to you not as the species you tried to contain, but as the guardians you helped create. The universe is vast and full of dangers, but together we can face whatever comes next. High Counselor Vexitar, humbled by the revelation of humanity's true purpose, formally apologized. We mistook preparation for aggression, wisdom for recklessness. We tried to cage our protectors because we feared their strength. How can we make amends for our blindness? Fleet Admiral Song, now bearing the title Supreme Fleet Commander of Galactic Defense, gave the answer that would reshape civilization. Help us build better defenses. Share your knowledge freely. Prepare for the next threat together, because there is always a next threat, and we must face it as one galaxy. The new Galactic Compact that emerged established humanity as the military heart of galactic defense. Other species contributed their unique strengths to a truly united civilization. The Lumari provided early warning systems that could see across dimensions. The Valkan offered their warrior traditions and courage. The Nerion contributed medical knowledge that kept defenders healthy. Every species had something vital to offer. The Ghost Frontier became the Guardian Frontier. 17 worlds that had once been human colonies became fortress worlds protecting the galaxy's edge. Each was armed with weapons that could destroy fleets and defended by mixed crews from dozens of species. On Earth, memorials were built to honor the 763 human ships that did not return from the Great Battle. Their names were carved in stone that would last for millions of years, but the greatest memorial was the galaxy they had saved. Dr. Park Yoonji established the Galactic Defense Academy on Luna Station, where the best minds from every species worked together to prepare for future threats. Students learned that cooperation was stronger than any weapon, and that sometimes the greatest service looked like the greatest rebellion. Deep Space Monitor Array Omega continued its vigil at the galaxy's edge, now staffed by observers from multiple species. They watched for signs of new threats, knowing that the universe was vast and full of dangers that had not yet revealed themselves.